Alright, how's everybody doing tonight? Alright, welcome to sharing my testimony tonight. Alright, so Romans 5:8 says, "But God demonstrated his own love for us in this: while we were still sinners, Christ died for us." My life before Christ was a mess. I was constantly worried about things. I was never confident around people who I'd never known before. I was worried about depending about myself, which is something that I can never really control. Before I devoted my life to Christ, my family and I were first, and sports were second, and God was last. I went to God when things were at their highest highs and the lowest lows. Yes, I have grown up in a church almost my whole life, and my dad has been a pastor for more than half of that. That does not mean I have everything figured out. Yes, I have went to Bible school ever since I was little. I can still remember walking around the very first church I've gone to, going from station to station at my very first Bible school. Yes, I have gone to the classic week-long the church camp, where you have a blast, you're at a spiritual high. But these things have long faded. And that time, I thought I knew what it meant to commit my life to Christ, but I would soon figure that I did not. When I found out that my family was moving, I was terrified. I was worried. My life was filled with what ifs and whys. Before this, I had never been pushed out of my comfort zone so far. The only thing that was even close was just switching schools between grades, and that's nothing compared to moving to a whole new town where you know absolutely no one. I had grown up around the same 10 kids before this. These 10 kids, maybe half of us went to church. And when we went to church, we hardly paid attention. And this was something that I regret. When I first moved, I had no idea what to expect. All I knew was 2 kids that I had known before baseball. School was hard, adapting was hard. Before, when I lived in Bentonville, I rarely made conversations with people I never knew. For the first couple of weeks when I moved, I was constantly worried about things, will I fit in? Will anyone like me here? Yes, I had some faith in God, but I had not put it all in God. But at some point, before freshman year started, I decided that I needed to put away my worries and just commit my life to Christ. Yes, I decided that I would commit my life to Christ, but that moment, just because I decided to make that decision, doesn't mean it instantly gave me relief. It was a process. I made it a point to go to church. I made it a point to go to youth group. I made it a point to get involved in my youth group. And also, God presented me an opportunity to join a small group here in Prairie Grove. Committing your life to Christ was like when Jesus told Peter to go out onto the water. You must have a tremendous amount of faith. And when you lack that faith, you begin to sink. But God told Matthew, in Matthew 14, chapter 14, verses 30 to 31. But when he saw the wind, he was afraid. Beginning to sink, he cried out, "Lord, save me." Immediately Jesus reached out to his hand and caught him. "You have little faith," he said, "why did you doubt?" Yes, I've had my doubts when I committed my life to Christ. But how can you doubt someone who willingly takes the weight of our sins and can live, and he willingly did that for us? I never realized just how much that God had done for us until I decided to commit my life for Christ. When I finally decided to take this action, I realized I had to make some major changes in my life. Yes, I went to church because my dad was the pastor. Yes, but really, how much was I listening? How much was I really trying to learn from youth group and the activities we did in youth group? Another thing I needed to change was devoting some time to help others, not just focus on myself. I started listening more in church and trying to participate in the things that were going on in my youth group as much as possible. However, one of the biggest things that opened a door to help commit my life to Christ was joining a small group. Mr. Evan Hubbard is one of those who has helped me tremendously without me even knowing. Joining this small group has allowed me to grow leaps and bounds with my friends. I have gathered many friends who I can truly trust and keep me accountable. They make sure I put God first in my life, others second, and myself last. Also, they have given me confidence in the fact that we struggle with the same things and we can get through it together. At any time, I can text or call any of them, and they would help me with what I needed, or they would just talk things through with me. Finding a group of people who is willing to keep you accountable and is willing to commit their life with you is a huge step that I had to take in my life before I truly felt I had given my life to Christ. There are countless things that I've experienced since committing my life to Christ, but a couple that stand out to me the most is the comfort I have knowing that God is my back. He has a path for me, and He will always be there for me through the lowest of the lows and the highest of the highs. Jeremiah chapter 29, verse 11 says, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." Also, I have learned to not take anything for granted. Be thankful for what you have, because you could wake up tomorrow and not have it. I learned this lesson 2 times. The first, when I went to Mexico on a mission trip. I saw things I never knew existed. I found out how spoiled we are and how little we realize what we have. We take everything for granted. We complain when we just have to read a simple text out of a book for English class, but children in Mexico just wish dearly that they could just go to a school where they could learn to read, or have a library they could go to check out a book. I should be grateful to be able to get up and go to school and play baseball and go home and sleep and not have to go out and work just to pay for my family to have something to eat that night. However, I'm not grateful for that. However, God reminds me, another time God reminded me not to take anything for granted was when my dad had a stroke. Just to put it into perspective, stroke is the 3rd leading cause of death in the United States. More than 1,400 people. Just to put it in perspective, yes, it's the 3rd leading cause of death in the United States, and it is the leading cause in more than 1,400 people die each year from a stroke in the United States. Also, stroke is the leading cause of serious injury and long-term disability in the United States. I was shaken to the core. I had heard of tragic stories and things happening to people's family, but I never thought it could happen to my family. However, when I realized that my dad could die, my life was destroyed. I tried to act as if nothing was a big deal and he would recover. What I did not realize was how much I had taken for granted. I prayed and prayed for my dad to make a full recovery, and slowly he was able to do more and more, and the doctors he would be able to walk, talk, see, and drive in about 6 months. And for that 6 months, God opened up my eyes into realizing we can never show enough love and kindness to those around us, because the next thing you know, they will be gone. Also, He showed me how God answers prayers and works miracles. In the beginning, we were not even sure if my dad would be able to walk again or ever drive. I know that lots of people prayed and prayed for him to make a full and healthy recovery. My dad is one of few people who, after they have a stroke, is able to make a full recovery after doing so. Deuteronomy 10:21 says, "He is the one you praise. He is your God, who performed for you those great and awesome wonders you saw with your own eyes." Many people wish for things they don't have, and if you want to start realizing that you should be grateful for the things you have now, because you may not have them again.